Hey there, this is Betsy from Classroom Caboodle, and today I'm going to share with you how to answer the tough questions in a job interview. All right, so today we're talking about how to answer the tough questions in really any job interview. And the two biggest things I can tell you, be prepared and practice, practice, practice. And I mean practice out loud to yourself in front of a mirror or with trusted friends or family. There are really two tough questions that you're going to get in a job interview. And the first one is almost in every job interview, but doesn't really count. It's not on the score sheet, for example, if you are interviewing for a school district. And that one is, tell us about yourself. It is such a generic, open-ended question, but this is one you can nail. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that. When they say, tell us about yourself, this is your opportunity to make a great first impression and show how focused you are and how much you know about the job you are interviewing for. When they say, hey, well, why don't you just tell us about yourself? This is not an, oh, I love cats kind of question. They don't really want to know that. This is your opportunity to talk about why you're qualified for this job. Everything you say should be tied, like if this is for a teaching position, should be tied to the classroom and the job you want to have. So, for example, when I say be prepared, have on a note card the things you want to highlight when you answer that question, because you will be asked that question. You want to stick to 5 minutes at the very most, but you want to hit some highlights. And let me tell you what those important things are. First of all, for a teaching job, you want to say where you got your degree and or your certificate. For example, I would tell them that I got my undergraduate degree in Human Development and Family Studies at Kansas State, and went on to get my master's in education and certificate from a local state college. I'm keeping it short. I don't have to go into great detail about my degree, why I got it, or how great the college was. So you need to talk about your college and where you got your certificate. You briefly want to talk about your teaching experience. So if you're a very experienced teacher who's had many different teaching jobs, you're going to summarize. Here's the grade levels I taught. These were my experiences. This is what I really liked about it. You don't need to go through the list of every teaching job you've had. Just keep it short and simple. If you don't have a lot of teaching experience, or if you've just finished your student teaching, you're going to tell the interview committee about your student teaching, other grade levels that you might have observed, and any other experience you've had working with children. Again, keep it short and simple. You'll also want to show the interview committee that once you have your certificate, you're not done learning. So you'll want to highlight a few of the professional development opportunities that you have sought out and how you applied them in your teaching experience. And again, just choose a couple important ones. If you do your research on that school beforehand, you'll know what professional development opportunities you're going to want to highlight, because schools every year will put on their websites about what their focus is. If they're, really focused on STEM or reading comprehension or reading workshop, you'll know to highlight those types of things in your professional development experiences that you're going to share. You also want to share just a teeny tiny little something that's personal about you to show that you're really human. But again, you're going to tie it to the job you want to have. So for example, you could say, personally, I really, really love traveling. I've traveled to many places in the country or many places in the world because I can bring those rich experiences back to the classroom to build the background knowledge of my students. That really shows that you have interests outside of school, but again, you bring it to enrich the school culture. So that's how you answer, tell us about yourself. The other tough question that you're probably going to get, and this one I just hate. It's, tell us one weakness you have. Now, I don't know why any interviewer would ask somebody to say something bad about themselves. It's kind of a silly question, but if you think about it, you can choose a flaw that all humans have, or a flaw that all teachers struggle with. So here's an example. And this is actually what I answered in one of my interviews when somebody said, tell us one of your weaknesses. One of my weaknesses is, I put together a great unit in math, for example, and I have my calendar and I have every day lined out of exactly what's going to happen each day, how I'm going to assess the kids, all of my little math workshop plans all lined out for a 4-week unit. But I live in the Northwest. We have snow days. So you have a couple snow days, it throws the whole unit off. And, lesson learned, I didn't plan in for contingencies. What if, something happens? I also, for planning purposes, my flaw is I need to be more flexible, because sometimes kids are ready to zoom ahead even though I have all this content planned. They've already mastered it. Or maybe we need more time because students need that time to develop. So, honestly, one thing I can do is collaborate with other teachers. Collaboration's a big word in education. So throw that in too. But again, I think every teacher will empathize with that rather than judge you, because every teacher gets into the same boat. What they say about the best laid plans, we're talking about lesson plans too. So make sure when you choose your fatal flaw, it's something that everyone understands and that they've been in the same shoes. So that's kind of how you would answer that. So think generally, not specifically. Another thing I want to say is there's a great stalling tactic you can do in any interview. And the first time I saw this, I was absolutely floored and wished that I had done that in the many, many interviews I had been in. And this little lady, she was so smart. Before we started the interviewing questions, she whipped out a pack of sticky notes and a pen, and she had it ready. So as we were firing questions at her, she would jot things down on that sticky note that she wanted to remember to bring up or to say or to add to her response, because your brain goes about 100 miles an hour in an interview. You're trying to think so quickly. So for her, it was a way to slow herself down, make sure she hit all the highlights of what she wanted to say. And she had it there right in front of her. And yes, it was different for an interview, but man, she gave great interview that day. So any other time I have to interview for a job position, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So just a little stalling tactic and a way to help you answer all those questions. So that's what I have for today. Hope that helps you answer those tough questions in your job interview.